Hello and welcome to the Skipper's View podcast with you with episode 169. We have Hagen and Lewis joining us again today. Both have been on the show recently. How are you guys doing? How's your weekends?
Pretty good so far. Just a lot of baseball. We're getting into it now. It's finally here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm really enjoying the baseball being back. Just watching baseball all day. It's beautiful.
It is a beautiful thing. And it's like, thank goodness the NBA season's coming to an end soon enough. I know we still got playoffs, but NFL's done right now. The only sport that's out really is golf and lacrosse, and only I care about lacrosse, so it doesn't really matter to the general public. We got baseball finally, uninterrupted baseball, best time of the year. That being said, if you are a baseball fan and you are into sunflower seeds, go check out our new sponsor, Chinook Seedery. Did you guys get your seeds?
Yeah, they're amazing.
Nah, bro.
What
didn't.
flavors did you get? Well, you're in a different circumstance. Hey, what flavors did you get?
I got all of them, but I still haven't tried all of them yet. But I'm excited for that cinnamon one. The cinnamon one, look me in the eye, pretty good. The last few days, been waiting to try that one.
Yeah, I didn't even get mine yet, but go look at them. Great new seedery company. Obviously friend of the show. So that being said, let's get into it. The hot corner. So I don't think anyone's happier right now than Lawrence Butler. The man just signed a 7-year, $65.5 million extension with the Athletics. Guys, Athletics, they are spending. What does this tell you? And we're obviously going to jump into their stadium plans as they had the mock-ups. Like, is their owner, I believe his name's John Fisher from Fisher Investments. I think he's a CEO over there. What's going on that they're finally moving? What about Vegas is making this guy open up his wallet to spend on players now all of a sudden? Hey, you want to take this one?
I have no clue. It is funny though because he doesn't spend any money in years. Like they had a lower payroll last year. I think they did in like 2005, something like that. But then it's like once you go to Vegas, they're gonna start spending all the money now. So it's like, so you're not gonna spend any money while you're in Oakland, and then the second you guys are out of there, you're gonna start spending money. But I guess at the end of the day, it's nice too that they're starting to spend some money, and you like to see it too. And you're getting a guy kind of creating a core there for when you do get to Vegas. But as for him changing and what's appealing about that, I don't really know.
Yeah, it's like annoying because like I love it, and we talked about this in the last show, like about owners. If you like, my suggestion to the whole salary cap deficit between top teams and bottom teams, like I never think that an athlete should take less money if someone's willing to pay them. Like that's just the American spirit, like and you should get what you're worth. And I don't think that there should be a cap, and I don't think that should be in any sports. Obviously, in football, it works really well. They have a lot of I'm trying to think of the word here, parity in the NFL. But if you look at basketball, there's been runs of teams. Even hockey, there's been runs of dominant teams. Baseball, people want to complain about the Dodgers, the Yankees. Like outside of last year, this last World Series, when's the last time the Dodgers won that wasn't a Mickey Mouse World Series? And look at the Yankees. They haven't won in 15 years since 2009. So, or whatever that is now, 16 years. So there's a lot of parity in baseball too that people don't understand. Like Giants are one of the bottom feeders right now in the league. They've won 3 World Series in the last 25 years. Like baseball's nuts. I don't get it, but I do feel bad for the Oakland fans. They could have totally spent money there. Golden State Warriors already proved that's a market that could work. It sucks to see it go, but we'll move on to their new stadium plans. So they are definitely looking to, unload John Fisher's wallet here. And they showed up this mock-up this week, and I thought this was sick. Here we go. So, Hagen, you said it best, but Lewis, you're the or football fan, I'll say. What do you think of the stadium for a baseball stadium? Like, how many professional American stadiums have you been to?
I have been to absolutely zero professional American stadiums.
Oh,
Absolutely
okay.
zero.
So the reason why I ask you and sorry to cut you off. There's a lot of like traditionalists, and Hagen, back me up here. There's a lot of traditionalists when it comes to stadiums, and then there's a lot of like they just want the futuristic stuff. This is the mock-up of the athletic stadium, and I don't know if you've seen the Las Vegas
Yeah,
Raiders stadium or the Los Angeles Rams
yeah.
stadium. This is a very similar calling card to that stadium, and just seeing this, those are four bad photos, but that's the overlooking view. What do you think of this for a baseball stadium?
It just it's probably because of my background in football as well, but I think this stadium looks horrible. Honestly, like it's so
Really?
yeah, because like it's like such an old sport, and then you give it such a modern stadium. It looks really cool, and it's gonna look beautiful, but at the same time, it just something doesn't sit right with me seeing it like that. And it's like so big and huge, and I think it's an ugly football stadium as well. I just think it's an ugly stadium looking at the outside, but maybe because like you said, like I'm a traditionalist. I like the old school minimalistic stadiums. This looks like a sphere. You know what I mean? And you know what's funny as well, when you look at these mock-ups and then look at the first one they released, and then you look at the lineups, like in that they show in the top, it's actually really funny because like half the players they showed at the first time aren't even there yet. Like they're gone. They're all at a different team. Guys like I think Ryan Noda and people like that, they're all in the mock-up. They're gone now.
Yeah, and last thing on this, like I think you nailed it on that. Like I'm a big Wrigley fan. I'm a big Fenway fan. Like City Field, I love that ballpark where the Mets play. But we all knew it was going to be indoors. It's Vegas. It's hot. It's the desert. They were not playing, 80 plus games and that however many games are at home in the summer heat of that. So we can move on. But this is really interesting to see that like this team just like flipped a 180 from not spending at all to like full out like frontal assault on spending investment money dollars. You love to see it, but you hate to see it at the same time.
If I can quickly add one more thing, you know
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
crazy as well? If you look at that Butler contract, if he keeps performing the way he has been, that could end up being a steal as well. Like, it's not that much money. Like,
No, it's not.
if he takes one step forward next year, that contract is gonna end up being a steal. Because how old is he? Like, I actually don't know. 24.
24.
I think he's 20. Yeah, okay.
That is a steal.
Yeah.
That could be a
And
steal.
even last year in the second half, he was the 10th best hitter in terms of WRC plus in all of baseball in the second half.
Jeez. Damn, I didn't even realize that. So I don't know if the MLB is talking about one team. I'd prefer two just to keep the even number. Something, rubs me the wrong way about going to 31 teams instead of 32. But Portland is pushing to get a city, to get a team in their city. This is what their, mock up of what they're saying their stadium could look like. I think this. My best friend, one of Dean's really good best friends as well, lived in Portland for years. And I showed him this. He's like, it's a tight area to fit it, but look at this stadium on the river. This reminds me of Pittsburgh or Cincinnati. This looks sick. I kind of hope Portland gets a stadium now because of this. Is this not one of the coolest venues?
This is beautiful.
It's awesome. It's like I think you said too. It's like PNC. It's like Great American Ballpark. Like it's the river right there too. Like it's like I'm getting Oracle vibes too. Like it's all these. It's such a cool stadium down there in the water too, and it kind of too has that same kind of that futuristic kind of look as the A's one does. I think it's just kind of the new era of stadiums now, where this one's still a little more traditional, but it's still a little. It definitely will stand out compared to the other ballparks in Major League Baseball if they actually get this.
Yeah, it's one of those. That's just how stadiums I feel are going to be. Unfortunately, whenever they come out new, they're new. Like no one's going to put in like 180-year-old red brick to make it give that. Even though that'd be sick if we start doing ivy and brick on like the new stadiums, just make them look all classic. But I'm a curmudgeon when it comes to that. We can jump ahead though outside of new stadiums, which is all exciting stuff. Roki Sasaki. Spring debut, he averaged 98.4 miles per hour, and he topped out at 99.3. 5 strikeouts, 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk. Real quick thoughts. Did the Dodgers, I know like anyone could have signed Sasaki, and he obviously signed with the Dodgers, one for knowing the pedigree of pitchers they produce, Obviously, I'm sure Yamamoto and Shohei had some say, making it easier transition for him. Is Roki Sasaki about to be a bad, bad man in this league?
Yes.
Yes,
Or
and no.
am I overhyping spring training?
You're
No,
Yes.
Rogi
overhyping.
Sasaki, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. He's got that fastball though. If the velo's not there and it's down like it was a little bit last year, I think it could start getting hit pretty hard. But the splitter is 80 grade splitter. Like that's already one of the best pitches in my opinion in Major League Baseball. I mean, it has 500 RPMs. Like it's insane, and he can vary it too. Like if you watch it, he can get it to go in on lefties, he can get it to go away. Like he can move it multiple different ways, and it's different variations of his own splitter. He's the real deal.
It's disgusting that like I could take a tennis racket, probably like 3 times the normal size of a tennis racket, and I could sit out there for 100 pitches and swing, and I wouldn't touch one ball. Like no one who's not a professional. It's crazy how hard it is to hit, and this guy could do what he's Airbender 2.0 with his splitter. I think like it's disgusting. Lewis, you're not in on Roki Sasaki though.
No, I'm in, but I know people are gonna like. If you're looking just in general, like people will. I just want to say, like Yuki Mitsui in his spring debut struck out 1, 2, 3 of the Dodgers lineup last year with the splitter as well. Like a very similar, not obviously not as good as a splitter, but what I'm saying is, when these hitters see something for the first time, you know, they're like, oh shit, this is a crazy splitter. You know what I mean? But as time goes on, and like Hagen said, his fastball might lose a little bit of velo, and I think the first time seeing a pitcher from Japan, they'll automatically have more success. I think it's why it does in the long run that is going to really, matter. Because I'm pretty sure most guys, like Yamamoto and Matsui last year, both had great springs, and then kind of got touched up early on.
Gotcha. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how Rookie plays out, but so far, Dodgers fans got to be like laughing about this one. Like they got this guy for like less than $5 million or whatever it was. Like
Yeah,
unfair. What were you gonna
and
say?
he's gonna put some absolute box office starts this season. Like there's gonna be so many starts that he has where he's just gonna absolutely dominate. I mean, we already saw the spring training capabilities he has, but then to do it, there's gonna be times too where he's gonna get touched up, like Lewis said.
I just like can't imagine a series where like if like a team is on the road, it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, or even a Thursday through Sunday series, and they get the back end of the Dodgers rotation. I'm not even talking about Blake Snell. I'm not even talking about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I'm talking when they're like, hey, we got to go prepare for this splitter all day, and then we're going to get the shit kicked out of us by Kershaw's curveball on Saturday. And then we're going to play like Dustin May or Gonsolin, like rotating in the like as the 7th rotation guy because they're tired and they don't want to run Snell out there or Glass now or whatever. It's like, how do you prepare for that? Like teams like I don't know. That's just an unfair game the Dodgers are playing right now. But this one guy, I don't think will be a Dodger. This next guy we're going to talk about, and that would be Vlad Guerrero Jr. I don't think that I should say they don't have the money to do it because obviously they'll find it somehow. But this claim came out this week, so I want your guys' opinions. And Lewis, we'll start with you. Vladdy claimed that he requested the Blue Jays that he wanted a contract that was less than $600 million. In fact, he was quoted saying, "We're talking about many fewer millions than Soto, more than $100 million less." So Guerrero noted that his last offer didn't reach $600 million, and that he eventually lowered his request to 14 years instead of 15. So he's looking for like a $500 million deal. Toronto, we talked about this, did not. I think they screwed the pooch on this one, not getting this one done early. Lewis, what do you think? Thoughts of? Do you think Vlad's going to get $500 million in this offseason?
I
The
think if he has
number he's asking for.
I mean, I think if he has another season like the last one, he might. The real question is who's gonna give a first baseman a 14-year deal. That like, it's not gonna look right at the end. But I think if he has another great season like he has, and I mean, he's the best. He's probably the best one available. So I'm sure someone will be desperate enough. The question is who. I mean, I guess the teams that have the money. I mean, where does he fit? You know, I mean, he fits at the Red
He
Sox. I don't even want to say it.
he doesn't fit in the Red Sox.
Yeah,
Like people want if they have Casas and now they have Bregman and now they have this Devers issue and then they have Christian Campbell. Unless the Red Sox and they have Marcelo Meyer and they have Trevor Story, they have
I'm
like a
not sold on
backup
the
for every
Casas
position
guy.
in the
I don't
infield.
think he's like. If you have Casas or Vlad, I'll ship Casas right out the door. Bye. Because-
No, I agree. I like. I'm not even saying this because I'm a Yankee fan, but like the Yankees have been looking for a first
I
baseman for
mean, I would
3
look for
years
Yankees
now.
next. Yeah,
The Yanks make sense. I think that
and he can keep his beard now, so he'll look better there anyway.
I think I forget how the Phillies contracts work. I think it a lot of them are like they have Castellanos, Schwarber, Harper, Real Muto. I think a few guys are coming off the payroll soon, and like the Phillies wouldn't be a bad option for Vladdy to go team up with Harper because Harper's there for a while based off his extension. But
Yeah, but
um,
Bryce is there now playing first, so then are you gonna clog up DH? I guess.
that or yeah, clog up DH or maybe put Bryce back in the outfield. But I guess he only moved to first because of that. He had what Tommy John or he had some sort of
Yeah.
arm surgery.
Yeah, Tommy John. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And,
I don't know how it's recovered, but put him in the outfield spot that requires the least amount of throwing. What is that,
and
right field or?
Harper even just came out too, and he said like that he went to Dombrowski and he said, "Hey, like if we go get Pete Alonso's out there kicking, like I'll move back out to the outfield." So we know he's willing to move back out there.
Good point. Yeah, and like Harper's super athletic. I have no questions about him going to the outfield. I think Seattle, if they paid up, tell me the Julio and Vlad wouldn't be one of the coolest shows on earth to watch in Seattle. I think maybe the Cubs. I don't know. There's a lot of
Seattle have a lot of payroll left as well, right? I think I just read somewhere the payroll's like 16 for 2025. No,
they are.
more.
They're the second least payroll in the league.
Yeah.
I think they're only
Yeah,
above the
yeah.
Athletics in the
Yeah, yeah.
West. It,
Oh, no, no.
but yeah, Vlad obviously, he seems frustrated. He's saying that he didn't request as much money as they're making it seem. Even though like $500 million to anyone, that's a lot of money. But like, this is what these guys get paid nowadays. That's the market. Now I got a question for you two. Who is going to get paid more in free agency next year? Kyle Tucker or Vlad Guerrero Jr.?
Vladdy.
Vladdy.
Wow, I was gonna say Tucker. I guess Vladdy's younger, which
That's the thing.
that's the big kicker. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
we
the
saw
thing.
it too. Like
But
just
Tucker's like
the 2 year the age is such a big factor in this. Like we saw with Juan Soto. There in no world should Juan Soto have got $800 million. But like this a team like the Mets happened to need a dude to kind of change their franchise a little bit. And he happened to be 26 years old, and you can get a first ballot Hall of Famer, 15. So, and I think Vlad's one of those guys too, where it's like we can get a top 10 hitter in all of the league, and for 15 years, like you might get some tough ends on the back, but he's 26 right now. He hasn't even entered his prime.
yeah. I'm all about like just suffering the losses. Like if I was an owner doing these deals, I would have it in my mind already. Like, hey, this is a sunk cost. It's like a car. At the last few years, I'm just gonna cut him, pay him his money, and I'll move on to another guy because I'm gonna make more money bringing a new star who's ready to play. I don't know. I guess no one wants to lose money like that, but like these guys get old. You got to just take the risk. We'll move on. Justin Turner. I don't know if you guys saw his comments. So Justin Turner had a lot of interesting things to say about his former team. So he was on the Mariners. Justin Turner's now with the Cubs, correct? He signed a 1-year deal for like $6 million a few weeks ago.
Correct.
So he was quoted this week saying this. Start the quote at the fact that they missed the playoffs by 1 game and didn't go out and add an impact bat or 2 when you have the best pitching staff in baseball just seems absurd to me. He said this in an interview with Bob Nightingale. He also was quoted saying, honestly, as much as I wanted to be back there, if I was the only piece they brought back in, I would say the same thing. What the hell are we doing? Are we trying? He continued by saying, there's not going to be a better time to go for it, so I don't know what they're doing. I'm very confused. It's a head scratcher for me. Seattle's projected payroll, and here, Lewis, you just brought this up, of $152 million is $90 under the luxury tax and 16th in the league. Only the Athletics are who are playing in Sacramento for the next 3 seasons, have a lower payroll in the division. and they're focusing on stadium and stuff like that. It's understood that their payroll is not going to be as much as others. Guys, how bad is this that Justin Turner is calling out like ownership and Jerry DePoe? I don't know how much say the GM has in terms of overall spending. Obviously, the money comes from the owner. What do we think about this, Lewis? Start with the Mariners. Like, are they a sinking ship right now? Do they need to? Obviously, they're the best pitching staff in baseball.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to say about their situation.
I mean, it's just not a good look that someone with like Justin Turner's credential comes out and says that literally a year after leaving you. You know what I mean? I think it's a horrible look because he doesn't just say that because of the fact that they're not getting anyone. He's obviously been around the club like day in, day out, and he's seen things that are going wrong. And I guess the one thing you can say in their defense is that they have like a good young core of players coming up, but they're still like 2-3 years away, and who knows they're all going to work out. So yeah, I just think it's a horrible look for them. Like if someone with his credentials comes out and says that about your club, I mean, and they do have the best pitching staff in baseball, bar obviously Kirby got injured and he shut down, but I mean, I just think it's a horrible look. I think that's the last thing you want to read in the media.
I don't have much more to comment on this because I think it's a horrible look, especially exactly what you said, coming from someone of the credentials of Justin Turner. That's mind blowing. Hagen, do you have any strong thoughts on this, or we?
I mean, he said pretty much what I think a lot of us have been thinking for the last couple off seasons now, where it's, what the hell are you doing? Go sign some players. Like, oh, Jorge Polanco, that's great, that's awesome. Your team sucks offensively, and Jorge Polanco is going to fix everything. Yep, let's do that. Like, dude, there was guys like a Pete Alonso who was out there. If you could up and spend a little more money, you could get a Pete Alonso for you got 2 years. Like you just got to be able to go out there and spend some money. But like they have the best pitching staff in baseball. You miss playoffs by a game. Like get somebody out there.
Yeah, and the thing is, I feel like Seattle would point to like additions of like Randy Rosarena. It's like, dude, the guy is 30 years old, and that's not old. It's just like in baseball years, that is old. Like that's older, and he's not with the team in 2026. Maybe you're waiting for that, but it's like your arms are here now. Gilbert and Kirby, they're going to require deals. Luis Castillo, let's not forget, he had a whole career with the Cincinnati Reds before this. Like he's older. And then you have Brian Wu, who is arguably one of the most talented fastball pitchers in all of baseball. The problem is he's not on the mound all the time. And that leaves, who am I forgetting about? Bryce Miller, who's electric, but again, he's young and not getting paid right now. Like you got to attack while your pitching staff isn't getting paid, because once you got to start paying them, like you already paid Julio, and I get it. You got your centerpiece, you got your Patrick Mahomes, your Tom Brady. Like build an offensive line for him, something. Like I don't know.
This looks Mariners, like the Pirates get a lot of stick for what they do with their young pitching staff, but honestly, the Mariners, it's not much better. Like it's generally not much better. The Pirates are probably a little bit worse, but I mean, it's almost the same situation.
I think who was it? It was either Ben or Hagen or someone called the Pittsburgh Pirates Seattle Junior or like Seattle Light. It was really funny. Well, we can move on. I've rambled about Seattle way too many times on this podcast this year already. I'm just pissed with them. Like it's like, come on.
It's hard not to be pissed.
Yeah, another team that we could argue has probably the second best, if not the best, rotation in baseball is the Phillies. Opposite side of the nation, opposite leagues. JT Realmuto, who is another guy like Justin Turner, high credentials. When JT Realmuto talks, we all listen. He's a student of the game and one of the most knowledgeable people out there. He was quoted this week saying, I feel like we have the number one and maybe four number twos, meaning like an ace and then four guys who are number two starters. Right now they're rolling out for this year Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, and Jesus Luzardo is the new addition from Miami. Sorry for your loss, Lewis. And they are also on the doorstep with Andrew Painter, who is, they said, was the most talented pitching prospect in baseball, like right before he had Tommy John, and he's looking electric again in spring training rehab starts. So, what do we think? Does the Phillies have the best rotation in baseball, or are they still behind Dodgers, Mariners, maybe the Yankees when they're healthy? There are a couple other teams that have awesome rotations, but let's start with the big fish here. Lewis, I'll let you go first. Do you think
Yeah, I think
Philly's the best, or
no, I think they're a little bit behind because I think Aaron Nola is slowly going to fade away. As like, I think if you have the rotation now, how I would see it is Wheeler 1, Sanchez 2, Ranger 3, and then maybe Nola or Luzardo 4 and 5, like one of them two. Because for the people that missed it, Christopher Sanchez is now throwing 98 mile per hour sinkers. So keep an eye out for that because he's added some velocity this spring training. But yeah, I think they're like top 5 for sure, but I wouldn't say the best.
I did miss the 98-mile-an-hour sinker. That's disgusting. Hagen, let's take out the Dodgers for the sake of the conversation because the Dodgers are just not fair. Outside of Dodgers, who obviously have the most depth and talent, do you think Philly's the number 2 rotation, or do you think it's the Mariners or another team?
I go Mariners with best rotation in baseball, and honestly, even if you include the Dodgers, I still maybe would take Phillies over theirs, just because I guess obviously talent-wise, Dodgers are better, but Phillies they have dudes. How many dudes in the Dodgers are going to throw over 130 innings for them? The Phillies, you have
Yeah.
guys we know are going to be there. Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler are going to throw 200 innings every single year. Ranger Suarez and Luzardo are a little bit more of a question marks, but like Luzardo's your 5. That's even it was mid fours, but like we've all seen what Luzardo can do. If he can even just pick it up a little bit, he doesn't need to be an ace like he needed to be in Miami. Like it's Cecil Luzardo was your 5.
Um. Oh my goodness! I just realized we're live on Twitter.
We
I
are.
had Nick's Pix just commented. He goes, "I just heard Lewis's accent for the first time. I'm dying." And I had no. I was like, "How did he hear it? We're recording." I guess when Dean and I did this last time, we did it on Twitter. So we're on Twitter right now. Yes, but
Also,
all good, all good. Thank God we haven't said anything terrible. um, we'll move on real quick. American League Tigers sign Jose Urquidy to a 1-year deal with a club option for 2026. That's good stuff. Good depth piece for the Tigers. I know Jose Urquidy is probably not the same pitcher he was with Houston a few years ago, but that's not a bad veteran to add. That's like kind of similar to the Andrew Heaney deal, like an Andrew Heaney deal light for Pittsburgh, what they just did. So,
Does this mean
good.
Job not making the roster?
I think Job might. I don't know. He's too talented to not be pitching. He might be moved into a reliever spot for now, but I doubt it. Like I think they're just going to go 6-man because like who are they going to start? It's going to be Reese Olson, Urquidy. You got
Flaherty
Scooball, obviously, and then
Flaherty.
Flaherty. I'm missing. Yes.
and
Do
Mize
they have? Forgot Casey Mize back from injury now too. So it'll be interesting.
and
But
Maeda. There's Kenta Maeda as well. They're paying him a lot of money as well.
yeah, I don't know what that means for Job, honestly. We'll see. But they were really, really interesting how they played it in the playoffs last year. They kind of just like had a run it and gun it. We're gonna go 2 starters and then like bullpen the shit out of you. So maybe Urquidy joins the bullpen. Who knows how they plan to deploy him? But he's now with the Tigers. Milwaukee signs Jose Quintana to a 1-year, $4.25 million deal. I joked about that. I said, watch Jose Quintana go win the Cy Young now, just because it's Milwaukee. San Diego, they signed Jose, oh my God, Iglesias to a minor league deal. Good to see him finding a new home. Brought a lot of energy to the Mets last year. Verlander, for the Giants, he debuts a new curveball grip with added sweep to it. So last year, Verlander used his curveball as his primary. And his secondary pitch, 21.9 or 22% of the time last season. Batters hit 340 against the curveball. So now with this movement, imagine Verlander gets that adjustment he needs and he goes back to form because he's not the only veteran pitcher. I don't know if you guys seen Max Scherzer's numbers this spring. Imagine both of them are just like Trojan horses again.
Hey, Brett, do you
Like
remember what I said on this podcast about Max Scherzer? I hope you do.
Remind me.
No, I think I mentioned that I think Max Scherzer is gonna have like an amazing season. I think he's gonna.
Yes, you did say that.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have like a below 350 ERA. He's gonna throw like 130 innings, easy. I said it. I'm standing on it.
hey, you know what? They are both first ballot Hall of Famers for a reason, and they're both still in the league because they obviously got the talent. Like teams wouldn't just sign them because they're names. But we'll move on to the worst part of the show, the injury section. So I'll run through these and we'll stop if there's anything big here. So Gunnar Henderson, he's been diagnosed with a mild right intercostal strain. So the manager for the Orioles, Brendan Hyde, said on Wednesday that the club is continuing to slow play him. Uh, they're not sure when he's going to come back. I think opening day is hopeful. I don't think this is going to be too long of a injury, but it is something that he's dealing with. So anyone who's drafting in leagues, take that to note if you're expecting Gunnar Henderson to repeat MVP form last year. I think he was top 5 vote getter for the American League MVP, maybe MVP 4. He's amazing, but he's a first round pick, and if he's dealing with something, you have to factor that into your draft pick. Seattle, George Kirby, one of their starters, he's having right shoulder inflammation. He's likely to start the season on the IL. The MRI showed no structural damage.
Yes, you have
Hagen,
George Kirby everywhere.
I'm guessing that's you.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna go Hagen start with this, but Lewis, have you looked into this at all? There's no structural damage, but I've always heard that shoulders are they worse with throat pitching than the elbow or equivalent?
It's shoulders are bad. They're not. There's
Sure.
nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know if what you would say is worse. I don't know what technically be worse, the elbow or the shoulder, but they're both. Those are kind of the two spots you don't want to get hurt if you're a pitcher.
I feel like
yeah, and
Tommy
like
John as well is like a must do. Like it just happens. You're gonna get Tommy John at some point. While I feel like shoulder injuries can completely like derail a guy. You know, like Woodruff has no pitch for a year and a half, and he's still not thrown. Like he's still not pitching in a live game. You know.
gotcha. Well, I'll say this: not a good start for Seattle. Another not good start for Baltimore because Grayson Rodriguez, he's now dealing with tricep soreness. This everyone knew that Baltimore can get bit in the ass here with Grayson Rodriguez if he didn't stay healthy because they signed a few guys. They did not sign the arms that they wanted. They didn't get Corbin Burns back. Thoughts on Grayson Rodriguez? Triceps are a big issue as well.
Yeah. I mean, his fastball velo was down a lot in his last start, and they said it was nothing, and now he's out. So I mean,
Yeah. I don't want to see him out. I really like Grayson Rodriguez. I was big on him 2 years ago. Obviously dealt with injuries and such, so I'm hoping for him to make a comeback. I want Baltimore to be competitive, but we'll see how that plays out. Atlanta, they've had a last year bad injury trouble. This year, kind of racking up injuries again. So Ronald Acuna, he's returning from the torn ACL. He's targeting a May return. Sean Murphy, as we've all heard, is now sidelined for 4 to 6 weeks with the left cracked rib. That does not sound fun. He was hit by a pitch, and which means Drake Baldwin, the star prospect, is going to most likely get every day at bats with Atlanta for the foreseeable future. And then this week, Jurickson Profar now has a bone bruise on his left wrist. The Braves are optimistic he'll be ready for opening day. I don't know what's going on with Atlanta, why they keep getting injured, but we want to see Atlanta be competitive. I think I don't think anyone doesn't want to see Atlanta be top dog in the East, except if you're a Mets fan. So sorry, Hagen, but I like when Atlanta's good. You know, it makes the league more competitive. It's not just the Dodgers and the West show.
Yeah, and like it sucks for Atlanta to get all these injuries. It's good to hear that from Acuna that he's targeting May and he's getting ready. But the thing with the Murphy thing is it sucks because had injuries last year and he's still a very good catcher. But I think even too, like we saw it with like Ben and Jeb, like just all the Braves fans. I know, like they almost were like, hey, this sucks, but like Drake Baldwin, he's the real deal. Like we're gonna get to see a play now, where they're excited for that. So something you kind of see what you have there in him, and then with the Profar thing, that one hurts especially because I think their team you kind of patched together the outfield a little bit until Acuna got back, and then the Profar injury kind of hurts their lineup a bit, but also too, it's the Braves. Like I think even with Profar out, let's say he misses opening day, they're still third best team in baseball, like fourth best team in baseball. Like they're gonna be fine.
Yeah, and now we got a run of really good players who got injured this week, and it sucks. So Luis Heel, not throwing for 6 weeks, high grade right lat strain. He's now expected to miss 3 months. So went from 6 weeks to 3 months very quickly. That is devastating to the Yankees. And then on top of that, which is even bigger news, Garrett Cole went in for an MRI this week. And we know what he dealt with last year. He came in halfway through the season. That is blowing for the Yankee. That's a blow. Like, you're missing the rookie of the year, a former Cy Young winner in Garrett Cole, and now you're relying on Rodon, who's had his injury troubles. You're relying on Fried, who's had his injury troubles. You're relying on Clark Schmidt, who's dealing with it like an injury. Like,
Marcus
Yankees
Stroman.
Marcus
Yankees might be in some serious trouble, though.
Meatballs, yeah.
If Cole is long term, I wouldn't doubt the Yankees might miss the playoffs. Like, I think it's that big of a blow.
I mean, Garrett Cole, like, he's one of the best
Yeah.
pitchers in all of baseball. And I don't know if you saw it before we started recording, probably like an hour ago, I want to say it came out, that Brian Cashman said, I'm planning for the worst right now. Like, I'm getting ready to hear the worst. And I don't know how to take that, if he's just saying I got to plan that way. But it sounds like he's worried about it.
Yeah.
The Yankees don't
He
have
has to
the
be.
prospect pieces as well to go out and get a good pitcher. Like, obviously everyone knows CC's on the market, but do they have they don't want to give up Jesse Dominguez, obviously, but who else do they have? Like, reason.
They have 3 other guys they can give, and I think they would have to give all 3. They'd have to give Will Warren, they'd have to give Spencer Jones, and they'd probably have to give George Lombard Jr.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that'd be enough to pay for it, because Lombard's starting to look like a real player. Where the Yankees did it again, but yeah, we'll see. I'm starting to grow and buy Lombard rookie cards. Actually, that's how much of a believer I am in him. I don't know why, but I am. Detroit Tigers, they had a big issue this week with Parker Meadows, a guy who's supposed to break out this year. He's now been ruled out indefinitely with nerve issue in his throwing arm. So I read about this. They're like waiting for the nerve to wake up. I don't know what that even means. That's what I read. And like, obviously, if you're in the medical field, you understand that a lot better than we do. But I guess he's having like weird feeling like that. That is a very concerning injury. Like, the word indefinitely, you don't want to hear that. And I don't think that's not only going to throw his throwing, it's going to affect his batting. Your swing mechanics and all that. But hopefully Parker Meadows is back soon. We all really want to see him play. Milwaukee, probably the reason why they went out and got Quintana is because they placed DL on the 60-day IL with a lat strain, and Aaron Ashby is getting a second opinion on his oblique. Aaron Ashby was supposed to be this really talented guy. He's been really banged up the last couple of years. DL Hall, they got from the Orioles. I think was that the Jose Ortiz trade as well? Jose Ortiz went to Milwaukee on that deal, and that was for Corbin Burns. So this is, Milwaukee's payment for Corbin Burns, and they need them to get healthy. Cleveland, thank goodness, Shane Bieber is progressing well, and he's trying to return by the All-Star break. It would be really good to see him back in action. Houston, they just signed Christian Walker this offseason. He's dealing with a little injury as well. He had an MRI, but he got good news. He has a left sore oblique. I think a lot of these guys just like back swinging, stretching, spring trach. They're tricky obliques, and like they can linger if you don't take care of them. So I think they're going to be very There's no reason for Houston to be aggressive, especially when you still have Alvarez, Altuve, Pena, Diaz, Paredes all in the lineup. So they can just let Walker cruise at age 33. And then finally, another Walker, Jordan Walker this time. You guys, I don't know if I don't have the highlight on me right now. Jordan Walker stepped on a sprinkler. Now, if you don't understand, for anyone who does know that, that's kind of how Mickey Mantle ruined his career. But Jordan Walker, I saw it. He definitely looked, shrugged up after it. But right now he's taking soft toss swings. It's just that I think he'll be fine, but it's something to monitor. And it's like crazy. I don't know how we fix these. Like, do we have sprinklers with like grass heads that pop up above them? You know what I mean? Like grass over the sprinkler and they pop up. And it's just a different material than that plastic, but it seems to be an issue out in the outfield. We'll finally jump to the last part of the show, the miscellaneous part. I've been talking for a little bit. So I'm going to get your opinion on this, Lewis. Former Mets GM Billy Epler reportedly is joining the Brewers as a special advisor for scouting and baseball operations. He was suspended last year after an MLB investigation concluded he directed Mets staff to fabricate injuries and create open roster spots. So the punishment's over with. What do you think about this news from Milwaukee? Do you think they're a bunch of cheaters, or do you think, hey, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying?
Yeah, go check out Kershaw and his arm. See if he needs a 60-day IL spot. You know what I mean? Like, everyone does it. Everyone does it. I mean, I don't. Such a I don't know. It's just trying to make an example of a guy, but everyone does it. I don't see the point. I mean, it's great for Milwaukee. I mean, I don't see. It's such a dumb thing to do.
Yeah, and Hagen, as a resident Met fan, are you upset about Billy Epler now that his punishment's done, that he's no longer with the Mets, or?
I mean, I think Billy Epler, a lot of Mets fans hate on him too much. Like, there were some bad moves out there that didn't work out great. That Darren Ruff, Vogelback, he did some bad things, but then everyone uses the Phantom IL. Everyone does it. Like Lewis said, like Kershaw, the Dodgers are going to do it this year just to find roster spots and everything. But I think it's a good pickup for Milwaukee. I mean, Billy Epler's very good at the job. I mean, he does things very differently. Like, even too, he pretty much bought prospects. He used money to his advantage when he was with the Mets. He bought Luis Angel Acuna. He bought Drew Gilbert. He bought those type of guys. So I think it's a good pickup for Milwaukee to get him in there.
Yeah, I honestly, adding any sort of like management talent to the staff, I never think hurts. Like, obviously he has a pass, but I'm a big believer. You do your time that fit the crime. Once you're done, you're exonerated of it. Like, you're free to go. Well, I don't know if exonerate's the right word there, but you know what I mean. You're free. Like, sounds like he served his time. So Trey Turner, I don't know if you guys saw this. He challenged Max Scherzer on his first pitch of the ABS system after, like, him and Scherzer were teammates, and Scherzer was obviously notably complaining about this thing last week. So I thought it was just really funny, and that's like why I love baseball. Just like little things like that, like the Freddie Freeman, Anthony Rizzo at bat. That was like things like that you never see in football, where guys just get to joke around and stuff. And it's great stuff, and why I love the sport. Albert Pujols, he's been named the DR or the Dominican Republic manager for the 2026 World Baseball Classic. Quick question for you guys. Not if, when Albert Pujols gets hired to be a manager of a ball club, who's he taking over?
Could the Cardinals do it with the new GM coming, with Chaim Bloom coming in? They're going to be switching.
I always thought they would get Yadier, though, to do it, the Cardinals.
So Yachty would be the one, now that you say that.
Just make Yachty the manager and Pujols the batting coach.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Pitching coach.
Yeah. And then the last piece of news here, probably the most controversial piece of news. President Trump is proposing a pardon for Pete Rose. So President Trump said he would pardon Pete Rose and criticize the MLB for banning him, even though Pete Rose agreed to the punishment, right? And this was all the way back in 1989. What do we think about this? A post-mortem induction to Hall of Fame? Like, is it worth all the trouble? Do you think this is just a bunch of nonsense, or any hard take on Pete Rose and this?
I honestly didn't know. Like, when I saw that Trump was proposing the pardon, I didn't know you could do that the president could do that for someone in Baseball Hall of Fame. But then I saw Manfred the next day was like, yeah, they're going to start looking into it. So I guess it doesn't hurt to look back into it. Obviously, I wasn't around for Pete Rose, and all I kind of know he was the gambling stuff. But it's kind of a different side of it now, because back then gambling was so frowned upon for the leagues, and now, I mean, it's everywhere you go. You see gambling. Like, some of these teams are playing on FanDuel TV. Like, it's all these places are gambling's everywhere now in baseball, and that doesn't mean he was in the right for what he did. He still bet on his teams and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
put in the Hall of Fame. That's what I'm saying.
What'd you say?
I'm saying if you're gonna pardon Pete Rose, give Barry Bonds a spot in the Hall of Fame. That's what I'm saying.
Don't tell Dean that. He's a cheater. But yeah, I think Bonds deserves to be in. But that's pretty much it for this week. With that being said, we'll let everyone head on out of here, unless you guys got anything else you want to comment on before we hop off.
I do
Anything
just
from
want
you
to
two?
say, just another quick injury. Francisco Alvarez for the Mets. He broke a bone in his hand, and he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. So that's kind of a
Yeah,
tough blow for the Mets there.
I forgot to add that to the agenda. That happened this
Oh, there's
morning.
actually another update as well. Jacob deGrom made his spring debut. Had a great debut, but only threw 14 fastballs and sliders. So that's something to watch.
Hey man, if it works, right? Well, that being said, bye. Wow, we almost got